Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for checking out this week's episode of Weekly Words. I pray that these last couple of weeks have been phenomenal for you. Also, I want to thank everybody who has taken the time to check out the first episode of the Weekly Words Extended Podcast. I appreciate every single one of you and all the positive feedback that I've been getting. If you haven't checked out the podcast yet, please be sure to check it out. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and pretty much anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Additionally, our second episode of the podcast will be out this upcoming Monday on March the 2nd. You don't want to miss it. We have a very special guest joining us. All right, before we get started with this week's topic, let's go ahead and check out Viewers Corner.
When you're on a flight, right before takeoff, the first thing the flight attendant tells you is, in case of an emergency, place your oxygen mask on first before helping your loved ones. Hi, my name is Gus, and my word of the year is inspired through this story, and that is survival. A lot of times we go through life placing the needs of those that are nearest and dearest to our hearts before ourselves, whether that's financially, emotionally, physically, or spiritually through our relationship with God. We go through life with a bag over our shoulder, and as we try to help our loved ones, we acquire more baggage, forgetting that it's okay to put that bag down, go a little bit further, and when we're able and willing to, come back for that bag. And so I've dedicated this year to survival, so that if I'm able to succeed, then I can then help my family as well succeed.
Thanks for sharing, Gus. I really pray that you have survival this year and that God can really speak into that area of your life so that you can get yourself in order and in line so that you're able to help those in your circle and in your community. And I think it's so crazy how oftentimes we don't realize the stuff that we have inside of us and how impactful it not only is in our lives, but in the lives of people around us. And that actually ties into what I want to talk about today, right? So a couple weeks ago, I was talking to my sister, and she was telling me about these seeds and these plants that she planted. So she planted them like right as 2019 was ending, right at the beginning of 2020. She planted a couple in some little pots, home pots. Anyway, she placed them in her windowsill so they can get some sunlight. Now, it took some time and some days passed and she didn't really see anything happening, but all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, she starts to see some of the plants sprout from the soil and she gets excited. And as the days go on, she sees it grow more and more. But this was just one of the plants that she had planted. In the other pot, she didn't see any growth, but she was watering it the same. She was giving it just the amount of sunlight, all that kind of stuff, doing all the normal things that you would do for a plant, but did not see any kind of blossom or blooming or anything like that. Well, a couple more days and weeks passed, and she thought about just throwing that plant out and saying, okay, we'll start scratch, or we'll just focus on the one that is growing. But she didn't do that. She hesitated a little bit. Anyways, one of her dogs ended up knocking over I'm messing up on my words, but knocking over the pot and knocking the soil and everything on the ground. And what she saw was that the plant had actually been growing, and it was just as big as the other one, if not bigger, but the seed was so far down in the soil, it did not have the opportunity yet to break through the top of the soil so that we could see the growth, right? The seed was actually hidden underneath all the soil. And what she realized was she just had to shift the soil around a little bit, move the seed up higher so that it can actually break the soil and be seen and get the full embrace of the sunlight. Now, the moment she said that, my mind immediately connected to us, right? Because we are seeds that God has planted in this world. And I just think about all the times that each of us have had our failures and our mistakes or our shortcomings, and the times when we thought we've been working for something so long and we don't see any progress in it. We don't see any progress in our grades getting better, in our relationships getting better, in our drama getting better, right? In our job getting better. Whatever area we're in that we've been watering, that we've been working towards in order for it to get better and to show blossom and to bloom and to have this increase in this harvest, we don't see any kind of progress. But what if instead of being discouraged because we don't see the progress, we stand in hope and we stand in faith, planted in hope and faith, knowing that God has hidden something deep inside us that we just need to shift the soil around in our life for it to grow and for us to see it. What if we just have to shift the soil of our attitude and just shift the soil of our posture and our mindset, shift the environment that we surround ourselves in, the people that we hang out with, the things that we watch on TV, the music that we listen to? What if we have to shift maybe the way that we're acting, and we have to change our habits and our routines? What if we just change our soil so we can embrace the hidden treasure that God has planted in us? Just like with the seed and the flower and the soil and the pot, sometimes we got to make a little bit of a change to see that God has been growing something in us all along, and that it's not worthless, but it is worth it, right? And this also makes me think about a story in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, with Abraham and his wife Sarah, right? God promises Abraham that Sarah's going to give birth to a son. And at this time, Sarah is extremely old. She's like 80 years old, right? Who's giving birth at that age? Now, in the story, you see that, Abraham and Sarah, they try to make a plan with Hagar and to make what God said possible, ultimately because they didn't have this trust in God for him to do what they were going to do. They didn't see the treasure that he had hidden inside of Sarah. But fast forward to a year later, Sarah actually gives birth to her son, the son that God had promised. And that was showcasing that there was a hidden treasure inside of her, and God was bringing it to pass, even though the circumstance didn't look like anything was coming because of her age, right? But God brought out that hidden treasure, and he's placed hidden treasures in each and every one of us. Hidden talents, hidden skills, hidden dreams, hidden goals, hidden relationships. All these things God has placed in us, and it's up to us to steward it well and let it see the light of day. So what treasure is hidden inside of you, and how do you need to shift the soil around you so that treasure can break through the soil and be seen and be groomed and be pruned and grow to reach the potential that God has set on your life and on our lives, right? What hidden treasure is in you, and what do you need to do in order for it to be seen by the world? Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for checking out this week's episode of Weekly Words. I pray that you thoroughly enjoyed it and got something positive from it. If you have any questions or suggestions for things for me to speak on in the future, feel free to email me at weeklywordsrt@gmail.com. Again, that's weeklywordsrt@gmail.com. Also, if you're interested in being featured on Viewers Corner, email me at weeklywordsrt@gmail.com. Again, that's weeklywordsrt@gmail.com. Be sure to check out the Weekly Words Extended Podcast. Episode 2 will be airing this upcoming Monday on March the 2nd. You do not want to miss it. And like always, I hope you have a great week, and I will see you back here for our next Weekly Words episode in 2 weeks. But until then, have a great day.